Good morning, my brothers and sisters. Welcome to episode 74 of Be With Me. We're going to ask three big questions today. What is your wound? What is your weary? And what is your who? Or who is your who, I suppose would be a better way to say it. We're going to get this from the Samaritan Woman. This is from John chapter 4. I'm going to start in verse 3. And he left Judea and departed again for Galilee, a trip of 80 miles. And he had to pass through Samaria. So he came to a town of Samaria called Sychar, near the field that Jacob had given to his son Joseph. Jacob's well was there, so Jesus, wearied as he was from his journey, was sitting beside the well. It was about the 6th hour, about noon. A woman from Samaria came to draw water. Jesus said to her, "Give me a drink," for his disciples had gone away into the city to buy food. The Samaritan woman said to him, "How is it that you, a Jew, ask for a drink from me, a woman of Samaria?" For the Jews had no dealings with Samaritans. All right, let me start with verse 4. He had to pass through Samaria. That's not true. No, he didn't. He did it on purpose. He had an appointment with destiny, and it is the destiny of himself with this woman, this interaction, the Samaritan. In a sense, this is like the first missionary journey. In Greek, the word means to be necessary. He had to. It was necessary for him to pass through, and it's a divine necessity, because the devout Jews would actually go around Samaria, do an extra 20 miles of an 80-mile trip, turning into more like a 100-mile trip, so that they wouldn't be defiled. Because the view of the Samaritans was that they were in a state of continual defilement. So why is that? Well, we have to go to the wound. So now we're to the first question. What is the wound here? Well, the wound is theoretically 750 years old, because in 722, the Assyrians conquered northern Israel. Why? Because northern Israel was unfaithful to the Lord. The Lord used the bad guys, Assyrians. The Assyrians took most of the Jews up to Assyria. The king of Assyria thought, hey, let's not let this land go fallow. We'll put Assyrians into the land of Israel. So they did that. Well, they didn't quite get it. The people there didn't fear the Lord because they were worshiping Assyrian pagan gods. God sent lions to the area. This is just hilarious. This is all from 2 Kings chapter 17, because they didn't know the law of the God of the land. So the king of Assyria says, well, this won't stand. I'm going to send a priest from Israel back to Israel so that they can teach the Assyrians in Israel the way of the one true God. Well, as it turns out, he did that. The lions went away, but the people went back to their gods and their shrines and their high places. They even burned their children as a sign of pagan worship. So, and they intermarried with the remnant Jews that were there. So the true Jews, if you will, the purebred Jews, looked down at these half-breed Samaritans as having intermarried with the colonists, and this syncretic religious smorgasbord that they're doing. They changed the Bible, they changed the temple, they changed the place where they worship, they changed the mountain of God. And it was so bad that even the regular Jews and the Samaritans even came to blows where the Romans had to step in. So that's 750 years. But it actually goes back even past that, back to the land of Joseph, where Jacob gives the land to Joseph. And that goes back 2,000 years. All right, my favorite word in the passage today is that Jesus was wearied. And he was probably hungry, sick, maybe not sick, but tired. He had exerted himself physically and mentally. And so the question for us is, what is our wound, like they had with Samaria? And then what is our weariness? Why are we tired? Are we tired, so tired we're going to give up? Or we're going to be tired and re-engage and re-serve And that's what Jesus did. He kept going. He didn't stop, even though we know he was wearied. So does he endure? Does he give up with the duration, or does he keep going, endure, and engage? And that's what happened. And then the woman part of this, the woman from Samaria was even marveled. When the disciples got back on the next page of the Bible, they marveled that Jesus was talking to a woman, and even the woman marveled that Jesus was talking to a woman because of this uncleanness that she demonstrates. So Jesus even says, I'm going to drink from your jar. So in conclusion, I think we similarly are called to engage. Jesus steps into the history of Samaria. He steps into the history of our sin. So that's likely, what is our wound? If we go back into the history of ourselves, what would Jesus know about us? Would he go back 750 years or 2,000 years or 20 years or whatever? And then that Jesus was weary. And he knows that we might be too, physically or spiritually. But how weary? Just tired? Or tired enough that we're going to give up? Or tired enough that we're going to re-engage and endure and serve? And finally, this woman thing. Who is our who? Is there a person maybe that has cultural differences or economic difference or racial difference or religious difference? That would be the person that, even though we have a wound, even though that we are wearied, that he asks us to engage with. Jesus is a great example. Let's use him as an example that he knows our wounds, he knows our weariness, and yet he has a who for us. Let's find out who that who is today. Thanks for listening.